We have almost 700 people working for the city, and it is sad when the actions of the alleged actions of one could reflect on others. But these are people who've worked with, this is a longtime employee, someone who's worked here since 1991 and has developed relationships with people and a place of employment. And so they're shocked. They certainly don't want people thinking that they were part of something, and we're very confident that they weren't. But it does have a human impact beyond the obvious practical problems it poses.
In the press release, you mentioned that you're retaining outside counsel to conduct this internal review. Is it too early to comment on any progress on that, or what would need to change in the city to keep that from happening again?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to look at this from every possible angle. Within 10 minutes of learning about it, I contacted the Bloomington Police Department. Then within a couple of days, we contacted the State Board of Accounts, have separately asked the State Board of Accounts to look into just this one case, as well as to do an audit of the Department of Public Works. Then also contacted the FBI because we didn't want it to appear that we were investigating, the city investigating the city. Although the police department is completely independent when it comes to investigations, it's just the appearance that we were trying to be sensitive to, and the expertise of the FBI in embezzlement cases. But then we've also retained outside counsel to assist us in reviewing everything that's involved, looking at all city funds, revenues, and accounts, and then developing some pretty strict standards, practices, processes that will be far more stringent than state law requires when we're done.
As the legislative session here wraps up, many things to talk about, too many to kind of go through here, but maybe a few stick out: the business personal property tax, maybe a few others. What kind of stuck out with you during this legislative session?
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously, the biggest success of this session was what didn't happen, and that's HJR 3, and the fact that discrimination wasn't institutionalized in our state's constitution. I think was the greatest success of the legislative session. I don't know that the issue has gone away, so we need to remain vigilant, but it was important. The other were partial successes. I will say it's a short session, so I think expectations shouldn't have been as high as they were for some of the issues that were being brought up. The business personal property tax, I have to say, I think it's bad public policy in the way in which it was done. On the other hand, I'm pleased that it wasn't the sweeping proposal that the governor had initially discussed. I mean, we're not going to lose more than $1 billion of revenue to local governments annually, so that's a plus. But on the other hand, I think it's too bad whenever the legislature, in this instance, it was trying to provide cover to the governor. It was absolutely denying him his suggested proposal. But to show that something got done, they put this county by county option in place. And I think it's too bad that it will pit county against county, community against community. It's the exact same kind of thing that has led to problems with school funding and other revenue streams. When things are decided or capped at a county by county basis, you end up with disparities around the state.
You also mentioned roads funding. We see progress now on I-69 on 37 through Bloomington. Has NDOT been keeping in touch with the city during this, and how's that communication been?
I will say NDOT deserves quite a bit of praise for consistent communication, even at the height of all the controversy between the community and the state. NDOT really always kept a channel of communication open and always was responsive to questions. Now, some of the questions I think the people we were communicating with weren't able to answer, and I believe that's still true. I don't think they know where the money's coming from. I don't think they know who's going to exactly pay for all of the spin-off impact of this, the access roads, all the impact that it's going to have on the community, how we're going to absorb roads that are cut off, and the significantly increased congestion that will create by new demand on things like 2nd, 3rd Street, impact on pedestrian, bike travel, east-west connectivity. So there's a lot of questions that I don't think are answered, which again was all that really I was asking for, and a lot of people in the community were asking for, is before we approve this, shouldn't we have those questions answered? We are where we are, And NDOT has, again, regularly met with us to talk about all those issues, and a lot of progress has been made. We have got some significant commitments on east-west connectivity for bike and pedestrian crossing.
How's the new transportation center coming along downtown Bloomington?
Yeah, it's going very well. I think that they're probably, because of the weather, a few weeks off, maybe as many as 4 weeks off construction, but they were already ahead a little bit, so it's sort of balancing out. But it's been going incredibly well. And it is, to me, kind of a model for the way things should work. This was a transit facility that when we saw it, it was a one-story building. And we thought that's not the kind of construction that we ask private developers to do in downtown, so we ought to have a public infrastructure project be done in the way we ask private developers to do it, and that meant building up. So we asked, and we were able to partner with transit. A lot of people think that transit is a city department, and in fact it's independent of the city. The mayor has appointments to the board, the city council has appointments to the board, but the director is not a city employee, he's a private contractor. All of their funding is through ratepayer dollars or federal funding, not through city tax dollars. So while they're certainly related, they are independent. But we have a partnership going with transit where the city's police department's central dispatch center will be up on the second floor of the building. So we really, and the county and the city jointly fund that. So we have a city, county, transit, federal, state, local, government funded project running on time, being done in, I think, a very progressive way, and ridership continues to skyrocket.